The NFL draft is in the books. The festivities have wrapped up, and draft classes are primed for scrutinizing. Now, as was called out in my last video, giving grades to NFL draft classes before any of the players actually play NFL snaps is a fool's errand. Every player has a bell curve of outcomes. F-graded picks can turn out spectacularly, and A-plus picks can turn out to be busts. So instead of giving grades, here are TSC's favorite and least favorite team classes from the 2024 draft. Without a doubt, my favorite class coming out of draft weekend is the Chicago Bears. GM Ryan Poles came into draft weekend with a pair of aces, having the first overall pick in a draft where the best player in the class was a quarterback, their biggest position of need. Caleb Williams is a franchise-altering player, and he was a slam dunk from the moment the Bears knew they had the pick. What wasn't a slam dunk was pulling off Rome Odunze at 9th overall. He was ranked 6th on Dane Brugler's big board, and he gives the Bears offense a dynamic weapon capable of becoming a true number 1 wide receiver. If both of these guys pan out, the Bears will have one of the most potent offenses in the NFC. Another favorite is the Philadelphia Eagles, who seem to always find their way into the winners column in these reviews. This year, the Eagles selected Quinyon Mitchell, the 3rd highest ranked corner on Dane Brugler's big board. Then they double-dipped, moving up for the 4th-rated cornerback on his board, getting Cooper DeJean. Both players were mocked as highly as the middle of the first round, and the Eagles managed to pull both of them, one at the end of the first and one in the second. Another team that enjoyed a really solid draft weekend was the Bengals. Cincinnati didn't make any splashy picks, instead making 3 really solid selections. They took Amarius Mims, Chris Jenkins, and Jermaine Burton, all top 100 players on the big board. On the surface, these aren't star players, and they're not flashy moves, but they're absolutely crucial for a hopeful contending team to make. Mims in particular, he's an exceptional athlete who has a very long future ahead of him as long as he can pull all of his rare tools together. In what will no doubt be a controversial addition, the Minnesota Vikings had a great draft weekend. At the top, they selected quarterback J.J. McCarthy, who was one of the most polarizing prospects in the draft. While quarterback was the biggest need for Minnesota by far, McCarthy's evaluation certainly raised concerns, especially around his passing volume at Michigan. However, he is no doubt going to one of the best situations for a rookie quarterback in recent history. The Vikings have a fantastic offensive line. They have fantastic weapons, including Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and more. And they have former NFL quarterback Kevin O'Connell as their head coach. Given this environment and some of the tools that J.J. McCarthy has flashed, his potential is sky high. After McCarthy, the Vikings selected one of the top defenders in the draft in Dallas Turner. For both players, the Vikings traded up, and by all value charts, they lost those trades. However, when a team gets 2 potential franchise cornerstones in one draft, they won't be losing sleep over future draft picks, and neither should we. My final favorite here are the Los Angeles Chargers. Some of their fans weren't too thrilled when they passed on Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors to draft tackle Joe Alt, but those concerns were definitely addressed on day 2, when they drafted wide receiver Ladd McConkey. In Alt, they're getting a potentially generational tackle talent to pair with their incumbent star left tackle, Rashawn Slater. And in McConkey, they're addressing arguably their biggest need at wide receiver with a strong player who can do it all. They also grabbed Michigan linebacker Junior Colson, who has the potential to start day 1. Jim Harbaugh could not have asked for a better first class. While many teams had great weekends, a few had frustrating drafts, punctuated by head-scratching decisions. Credit to the teams, because almost every one of them had a passable draft at least, with high upside. However, one team that could have done better is the Tennessee Titans. By no means did the Titans have a bad draft, but Titans fans might be feeling let down by the team being unable to draft Joe Alt, who was heavily mocked to the Titans. Their consolation is J.C. Latham, and he is no slouch, but he is not in the same tier of prospect as Alt. And at the top of the second round, they selected Tavondre Sweat, a boomer-bust player who was a 4th-round graded player by Brugler, and not ranked within his top 100. And it should be mentioned that Tavondre Sweat had off-field concerns leading into the draft. If all goes well, both of these players have a clear path to success, and it's not doom and gloom. However, it could have gone better. One team with a much more concerning outlook is the Denver Broncos, who used the 12th overall pick on Bo Nix. He was ranked 44th best player on the big board, and Dane Brugler evaluated Nix to be a fair value pick in the late 2nd or early 3rd round. The Broncos appeared to be left out in the cold as the top 5 quarterbacks were selected before him, and perhaps they panicked and selected Nix. Head coach Sean Payton, who is known for his gamesmanship, is all in on the new signal caller, and he's engaged in a bit of media trickery to defend his case. And in all honesty, the Broncos probably do really like Bo Nix. But skeptics are still left wondering if the Broncos would have preferred one of the other options. Last but certainly not least are the Atlanta Falcons, who made one of the most bizarre picks in NFL draft history, selecting Michael Penix at 8th overall. This pick is like nothing the NFL has ever seen before, and it truly deserves a video of its own. So make sure you subscribe for that video coming up next. You're not going to want to miss it. Who did I miss? Who did I get wrong? Be sure to sound off in the comments below. This has been TSC, bringing you the stories behind the sports.